Today, we're diving deep into the 2026 Harley Davidson WLA, a motorcycle that isn't just another new model in the lineup. It's a revival of a legend, a machine born from history, reborn for the modern rider, and revived with enough style, soul, and swagger to make both heritage enthusiasts and newcomers take notice. This is Moto Next Spark, and this is your ultimate deep dive review of the 2026 Harley Davidson WLA. Key features, performance, design, price, USPs, and everything in between. So let's roll. When you think of the WLA name, you're thinking of one of the most iconic motorcycles in American history, and a bike that served alongside soldiers in World War II, known colloquially as the Liberator. $1.5 That legacy is not just a footnote, it's the foundation for this 2026 revival, a modern motorcycle that embraces heritage influences while serving contemporary expectations of performance and comfort. Wikipedia. Before we get into the specifics, I want you to take a moment and imagine the feel of riding a bike where history meets the present day. That's exactly the vibe Harley is pushing with this WLA. The Sedilla design styling, a heritage meets modern from the moment you lay eyes on the 2026 WLA. You'll notice something very deliberate. This bike doesn't try to hide its lineage. The design cues are unmistakably tied to the classic military WLA, retro tank shape, minimalistic graphics, and robust fenders that evoke the wartime aesthetic. The seating position calls back to a rugged, older back stance, upright yet purposeful. Matte finishes and simple, purposeful bodywork that shines over styled plastics in favor of honest, muscular metal. Everything is intentional, and the bike looks rugged and ready for the open road but carries the soul of a machine built for a cause. In contrast to many modern Harleys which lean toward touring comfort or cruiser flair, the WLA now sits in a distinct niche, part museum piece, part modern classic. $1.5 YouTube. Even the instrument cluster on most early review impressions leans towards simplicity with just enough modern utility, an analog meets a digital gauge that gives you what you need without clutter. This builds character and keeps the overall cockpit feeling authentic. That authenticity is a huge part of the bike's identity. Heritage cues aren't just surfacial level, they've been woven into the very personality of the 2026 model. At Y section, technological blend, old school soul, new school tech. Don't let the vintage looks fool you. While the WLA wears classic styling, it isn't held back by outdated tech. Early official first look teasers and video reveals have shown that it balances modern reliability and ride-ready features don't leave riders wanting. LED lighting for crisp visibility, night riding safety without compromising classic visuals. Fuel injection replaces carburetors for smooth starts in any weather. Updated suspension components tuned for modern road conditions, and you won't feel like you're riding an original 1940s flathead on today's highways. A chassis thoughtful enough that everyday usability isn't an afterthought. This combination of classic design fortified with relevant mechanical tech is exactly why the WLA turns heads, not just as a showpiece, but as a bike that's ready to be ridden every day. $1.5 YouTube. Sedilla performance, what's under the tank? Now this is where things get very interesting. The original WLA from the 1940s featured a 750cc side valve engine that produced modest power, roughly 28 horsepower, 3 speed gearbox, and a top speed near 75 Mach miles per hour, suitable for military dispatch duties of the era. $1.5 Wikipedia. The 2026 WLA revival, while visually tied to that DNA, is expected to pack a modern engine that dramatically outperforms its ancestor. Early test riders and first-look videos highlight a considerably updated powertrain, albeit specifics like exact horsepower and torque figures have varied widely across early impressions. Some early reviewers have mentioned an 883cc Evolution series power plant with upgrades tuned for a balance between comfortable cruising and everyday usability, though Harley has yet to release fully official specs in their global lineup listings. $1.5 YouTube. This means smooth, reliable power that gives you more confidence on modern roads than a vintage flathead ever could. A torque-rich response, low revs that pull confidently without requiring constant shifts. Very manageable throttle feel, which makes the bike approachable for riders of varying experience levels. Handling and chassis tuning are said to lean more toward relaxed cruiser dynamics than aggressive sport performance, which fits the character perfectly. But the suspension and brake upgrades reflect that this isn't just a novelty bike, it's built to ride. At WWII-era is still a ride experience, what it feels like to ride the 2026 WLA. If the WLA were an outfit, it would be a perfectly weathered leather jacket, classic, comfortable, and timeless. On the move, The upright riding stance is comfortable for city cruising and easy highway runs. The engine delivers enough torque at low to mid RPM to keep you moving without hunting for gears. Suspension soaks up imperfect pavement with a compliant feel, not harsh, not floaty, just right for long distances. The steering feels composed, and the overall weight distribution keeps the bike planted. If you close your eyes, this bike feels like riding history, but without the compromises that come with an antique machine. Riding the 2026 WLA is not about chasing lap times or cornering limits, it's about presence, connection, and experience. A motorcycle that invites you to ride with intention. At Y superscript ATM price value. What it costs. Pricing for the 2026 Harley Davidson WLA hasn't been officially published on Harley's global website yet, but early dealer whispers and reviews suggest a middle-range cruiser price point that's priced to reflect both its heritage value and modern must-have features. Based on first-look videos and early review impressions circulating ahead of full official specs, expect pricing that positions it above entry-level Sportsters or Nightsters but below flagship touring models, in line with Harley's strategy for heritage and retro models. IDRSS $1/2. YouTube. While we don't have exact MSRP numbers yet, an educated ballpark suggests somewhere in the middle to upper cruiser spectrum. Balancing collectible appeal with performance value, dealers and early reviewers have hinted at a price that reflects premium craftsmanship without tipping into ultra-limited collectible territory. IDRSS $1/2. YouTube. At Y unique selling points. What sets the WLA apart? Now, let's break down the unique selling points, the things that make the 2026 WLA special. 1. Authentic heritage revival. This isn't just another Harley model with retro paint, it's a true tribute to the historical WLA lineage, tapping into decades of legacy that most motorcycles never get close to. IDRSS $1/2. YouTube. 2. Balanced modern performance. With a modernized powertrain, updated suspension, and current generation rideability, this bike bridges the past and present beautifully, desirable for collectors and riders alike. 3. Character identity. Every aspect of this bike feels intentional, from its tank profile to its minimalist instrumentation, to the deliberate choice of finishes. It's a motorcycle with personality. Few production bikes today capture that level of emotional resonance. 4. Everyday usability. Unlike vintage restorations or museum-only machines, the 2026 WLA is designed to be ridden. It works as a daily driver, weekend road trip warrior, or heritage-inspired cruiser, a rare balance. 5. Brotherhood of belonging. Owning a Harley often feels like joining a club. Owning a WLA, especially a modern homage to a WWII legend, feels like owning a piece of motorcycle lore. That's not something you can quantify, but it's absolutely felt. At Y currency. Who is this bike for? At this point, you might be asking, is the 2026 WLA for everyone? No, and that's precisely part of its charm. This bike isn't trying to be the fastest, the most high-tech, or the most practical commuter machine on the market. Instead, it's for the rider who values soul over spec sheets, story over flash, and presence over performance numbers. If you love motorcycles that feel iconic the moment you see them, and if you appreciate a machine that's as enjoyable parked as it is ridden, this bike was clearly designed with you in mind. At Y closing thoughts. The revival worth riding. The 2026 Harley Davidson WLA is more than just a bike. It's a modern motorcycle with real lineage, a timeless aesthetic wrapped in purposeful design, and a platform that delivers rideability without sacrificing soul. That blend of heritage and performance is what makes this model one of the most compelling new Harleys in recent memory. A bike that not only honors history but invites you to be part of the next chapter. If you're drawn to bikes with personality, history, and purpose, and if you want something that speaks to both style and substance, the 2026 WLA deserves your attention. Thanks for watching this review on Moto Next Spark. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more motorcycle reviews, specs, and road tests. Let us know in the comments. Would you ride the 2026 WLA, or is it just a cool collectible? We want to hear from you.